Hope Logan's world is about to be turned upside down in a way that fans of the bold and the beautiful never saw coming, as shocking news spoilers reveal that she and Will Spencer make a bold, emotional, and potentially devastating decision that could change the course of their lives forever, leaving Forrester creations behind and stepping into an uncertain future alongside the enigmatic and controversial figure, Logan. For years, Hope has been the moral center of the canvas, a woman guided by her values, her love for family, and her dedication to her work at FC, where she built her identity through the hope for the future line. But recent events have chipped away at that stability, pushing her into a corner where staying no longer feels like an option. The mounting tension between Hope and the Forrester family, especially following creative disagreements, personal betrayals, and the constant feeling that she is no longer respected or heard, has reached a boiling point. She has fought hard to maintain her place, but when your voice is drowned out and your vision dismissed, even the strongest person begins to question their purpose. That's exactly where Hope finds herself now, disillusioned, hurt, and searching for a new beginning. Meanwhile, Will Spencer, who has grown into a perceptive and fiercely independent young man, finds himself equally disenchanted with the corporate politics and emotional entanglements that seem to dominate life at FC. Though younger and less entrenched than Hope, Will has watched closely as the adults around him make decisions driven more by ego than integrity, and he refuses to be pulled into that same cycle. His bond with Hope has deepened in recent months, built on mutual understanding, shared frustration, and a desire for something more meaningful than the constant drama that surrounds them. Together, they begin to imagine a different path, one where they are not defined by legacy names or burdened by expectations, but instead free to create something new, something that truly reflects who they are. Enter Logan, a figure whose presence sparks both intrigue and suspicion. While details about Logan remain shrouded in mystery, what is clear is that he represents an alternative, a chance to break away from the toxic patterns of the past and build a future on their own terms. For Hope, this is both exhilarating and terrifying. She has spent her entire life navigating the complexities of family loyalty and corporate responsibility, and the idea of stepping away from all of that is not one she takes lightly. Yet, as she weighs her options, she begins to realize that staying at FC may cost her more than leaving ever could. Her sense of self, her creative passion, and even her happiness are all at stake, and for the first time, she is seriously considering the possibility that walking away might be the only way to save them. Will, ever the voice of clarity, encourages her to trust her instincts and embrace the unknown, reminding her that sometimes the bravest choice is the one that feels the most uncertain. Their decision, however, does not come without consequences. The fallout from their departure is immediate and explosive, sending shockwaves through the Forrester and Spencer families alike. Ridge and Brooke are left reeling, struggling to understand how things could have unraveled so quickly, while Steffi sees this as yet another betrayal in a long line of conflicts with Hope. Accusations fly, emotions run high, and long-buried resentments resurface, threatening to tear families apart. For some, Hope's decision is seen as reckless and impulsive, a move driven by emotion rather than logic. For others, it is a courageous stand against a system that has failed her time and again. As for Will, his choice to leave alongside Hope raises eyebrows and questions about his future, with many wondering whether he is being influenced or if he truly believes in the path they are taking. Regardless of the opinions swirling around them, one thing is certain: Hope and Will are determined to see this through, no matter the cost. As they begin their new journey with Logan, the possibilities are endless, but so are the risks. Starting fresh means facing challenges they have never encountered before, from building a brand from the ground up to navigating the complexities of trust and partnership with someone whose motives are not entirely clear. There are moments of doubt, of course, late-night conversations where fears are voiced and uncertainties acknowledged, but there is also a sense of excitement, a spark of hope that perhaps this leap of faith will lead them to something greater than they ever imagined. Their dynamic evolves as they step into this new chapter, with Hope discovering a newfound strength and independence, and Will proving himself to be a capable and insightful partner in both business and life. Together, They begin to carve out a space that is uniquely theirs, one that reflects their shared vision and values. Yet, as with any bold move in the world of the bold and the beautiful, the past has a way of catching up. The shadow of FC looms large, and it is only a matter of time before their former lives collide with their new reality. Whether it comes in the form of corporate rivalry, personal confrontation, or unexpected alliances, the tension between what was and what is yet to be promises to keep viewers on the edge of their seats. Will hope and will succeed in building something lasting, or will the weight of their past prove too heavy to escape? And what role will Logan ultimately play in their story? Is he the catalyst for their freedom or a wild card that could lead to their downfall? As the drama unfolds, one thing is clear. This decision marks a turning point not just for Hope and Will, but for everyone connected to them, setting the stage for a storyline filled with passion, conflict, and the kind of high-stakes drama that fans have come to love. Hope Logan's daring decision to walk away from everything she has ever known continues to send shockwaves through every corner of her world, and as the dust begins to settle, the true weight of her choice becomes impossible to ignore. What initially felt like a liberating escape quickly evolves into a complex emotional and professional journey that tests her resilience in ways she never anticipated. Away from the familiar halls of Forrester Creations, Hope is forced to confront not only the external challenges of starting over, but also the internal doubts that creep in during quiet moments. The absence of structure, the lack of a safety net, and the realization that every decision now rests squarely on her shoulders create a pressure unlike anything she has faced before. Yet, beneath that pressure lies a growing sense of empowerment. For the first time in her life, Hope is no longer living in the shadow of legacy expectations or family obligations. She is defining her own path, and that realization fuels her determination to succeed. Alongside her, Will Spencer steps into a role that surprises even those closest to him. No longer just the observant son of a powerful media mogul, Will begins to carve out his own identity, proving that he possesses not only intelligence, but also a sharp business instinct that complements Hope's creative vision. Their partnership evolves into something deeply symbiotic, each bringing out strengths in the other that might have remained hidden under different circumstances. Will becomes Hope's sounding board, her strategist, and at times, her anchor when the uncertainty threatens to overwhelm her. In turn, Hope inspires Will to take risks and embrace a future that is not dictated by his father's empire, but shaped by his own ambitions. Together, they form a dynamic duo that begins to attract attention, not all of it positive. Back at Forrester Creations, the ripple effects of their departure continue to unfold with increasing intensity. Steffi Forrester, never one to shy away from confrontation, views Hope's exit not as a loss but as an opportunity to reclaim control and steer the company in a direction she believes is stronger and more unified. However, beneath her confident exterior lies a simmering concern that Hope's new venture could become a legitimate competitor, especially if it gains traction in the market. Ridge finds himself caught in the middle once again, torn between his loyalty to his daughter and his lingering respect for Hope's talent and dedication. Brooke Logan, perhaps the most emotionally affected by Hope's decision, struggles to reconcile her support for her daughter with the reality of the consequences that decision has brought. She worries about Hope's vulnerability, about the risks she is taking with someone as unknown as Logan, and about the possibility that this bold move could end in heartbreak. The family fractures deepen as debates turn into arguments and arguments into ultimatums, creating an environment where reconciliation feels increasingly out of reach. Meanwhile, the mysterious figure of Logan becomes more central to the unfolding drama, his true intentions slowly coming into focus, yet never fully revealed. He presents himself as a visionary, someone who sees potential where others see risk, and his confidence is undeniably persuasive. He offers Hope and Will resources, connections, and a platform to bring their ideas to life in ways they could not have imagined on their own. But there are moments, subtle, fleeting, yet impossible to ignore, where cracks begin to show in his carefully constructed persona. A hesitation here, an evasive answer there, and suddenly the question arises, is Logan truly invested in their success, or is he playing a much deeper game? Hope, ever perceptive, begins to pick up on these inconsistencies, and while she chooses to trust him for now, a seed of doubt is planted in her mind. Will, too, remains cautious, balancing his enthusiasm for their new venture with a healthy skepticism that keeps him alert to potential red flags. This underlying tension adds another layer of complexity to their journey, turning what could have been a straightforward fresh start into a high-stakes gamble where trust becomes both a necessity and a risk. As their new venture begins to take shape, the challenges they face are as varied as they are demanding. From securing funding and building a brand identity to navigating the cutthroat nature of the fashion industry, every step forward is hard-won. There are setbacks, deals that fall through, designs that miss the mark, and moments where the enormity of what they are attempting threatens to overshadow their confidence. Yet, with each obstacle they overcome, their bond strengthens, and their belief in their shared vision deepens. Hope finds herself rediscovering the passion that first drew her to design, free from the constraints that once limited her creativity. She experiments, she innovates, and in doing so, she begins to create something that feels authentically hers in a way that hope for the future never quite did. Will, on the other hand, proves himself adept at navigating the business side of things, using his insight and intuition to make strategic decisions that keep them moving forward. Together, they create a synergy that begins to turn heads, attracting both admiration and envy from those watching their rise. Of course, in the world of the bold and the beautiful, success rarely goes unchallenged. As whispers of hope and Will's venture spread, so too do efforts to undermine them. Competitors emerge, some driven by ambition, others by personal vendettas, all seeking to capitalize on any weakness they can find. The tension escalates as alliances are tested and loyalties questioned, drawing hope and Will into a web of intrigue that threatens to derail everything they have worked so hard to build. Back at Forrester, the idea of direct competition becomes a reality that can no longer be ignored, prompting strategic moves that blur the line between business and personal conflict. Old wounds are reopened, new rivalries are formed, and the stage is set for a showdown that could redefine the power dynamics of the industry. Amidst all this chaos, the personal stakes remain just as high. Hope's relationships are put to the test as distance and disagreement create barriers that are not easily overcome. As Hope, Logan, and Will Spencer continue down the risky path they've chosen, the emotional and psychological toll of their decision begins to deepen in ways neither of them fully anticipated at the start. What once felt like an exciting rebellion against a suffocating system slowly transforms into a relentless test of endurance, trust, and identity. Every success they achieve is shadowed by the fear of losing it all, and every setback feels magnified by the absence of the safety net they once took for granted at Forrester Creations. Yet, it is within this pressure that both Hope and Will begin to evolve in profound ways. Hope, who is often seen as idealistic and sometimes even naive in her approach to business and relationships, starts to develop a sharper edge. She learns to negotiate, to stand firm in the face of opposition, and to recognize when compromise is necessary and when it is not. This transformation does not come easily, and there are moments where she questions whether she is losing a part of herself in the process. But each time doubt creeps in, she reminds herself why she left in the first place, to reclaim her voice, her vision, and her sense of purpose. Will, on the other hand, undergoes a transformation that surprises even him. Stepping out from under the shadow of his powerful family forces him to confront who he truly is, without the Spencer name acting as both shield and burden. He discovers a resilience and determination that had previously gone untapped, along with a willingness to take calculated risks that mirrors the very traits he once questioned in others. However, with that growth comes internal conflict. There are moments when he wonders if he is becoming more like the very people he sought to distance himself from, strategic, guarded, and at times willing to make difficult choices that blur the line between right and wrong. This internal struggle adds depth to his character, making his journey not just about success, but about self-discovery. Meanwhile, Logan's role in their lives becomes increasingly complex and, at times, unsettling. While he continues to provide opportunities and guidance that push their venture forward, his influence begins to extend beyond business and into their personal dynamics. He challenges their decisions, questions their instincts, and occasionally steers them in directions that feel at odds with their original vision. At first, these moments are brushed off as part of the growing pains of a new partnership, but over time, they begin to raise concerns. Hope starts to feel that the independence she fought so hard to gain may be slipping through her fingers in a different form, while Will becomes more vigilant, quietly observing Logan's behavior and looking for patterns that might reveal his true intentions. The trust that once seemed solid begins to show cracks, and the possibility that they may have traded one controlling environment for another becomes a very real fear. Back in Los Angeles, the impact of Hope and Will's departure continues to reverberate through Forrester Creations and beyond. The company, while still strong, begins to show signs of strain as internal divisions grow more pronounced. Without Hope's influence, certain creative directions begin to falter, leading to disagreements among the leadership about the future of the brand. Steffi doubles down on her vision, determined to prove that the company can thrive without Hope, but not everyone is convinced. Rich finds himself increasingly reflective, questioning whether pride and stubbornness may have played a role in pushing Hope away. Brooke, unable to fully let go of her concern, makes attempts to reach out to Hope, but those efforts are often met with hesitation, as the emotional distance between them proves difficult to bridge. As tensions rise, the inevitable confrontation between past and present begins to take shape. Industry events, media coverage, and mutual connections create situations where Hope and Will can no longer avoid crossing paths with their former colleagues and family members. These encounters are charged with emotion, regret, anger, longing, and, in some cases, a grudging respect for what each side has managed to achieve. The lines between personal and professional blur even further as competition intensifies, turning what was once a shared legacy into a battleground for dominance and recognition. At the same time, the outside world begins to take notice of Hope and Will's venture in a bigger way. Their brand, once an underdog story, starts to gain real traction, attracting attention from investors, influencers, and even rival companies looking to either collaborate or compete. This newfound visibility brings both opportunity and danger. With success comes scrutiny, and with scrutiny comes the risk of exposure, especially when it comes to Logan. Rumors begin to circulate about his past, hinting at deals gone wrong, partnerships that ended in, and ambitions that may not align with the transparent, values-driven image Hope and Will are trying to build. These whispers grow louder, forcing Hope and Will to confront the possibility that their greatest ally could also be their biggest liability. The emotional core of the story continues to center on the bond between Hope and Will, which is tested in increasingly intense ways. Disagreements arise, not out of a lack of trust, but from the weight of the decisions they must make. There are moments when their visions diverge, when the pressure leads to frustration, and when the question of whether they are truly on the same path comes into focus. Yet, it is in these moments that their connection proves its strength. They learn to communicate more openly, to listen more deeply, and to support each other even when they don't fully agree. This growth in their relationship becomes one of the most compelling aspects of their journey, offering a sense of hope that, no matter what challenges they face, they will not have to face them alone. As the storyline builds toward its next major turning point, the stakes could not be higher. The truth about Logan looms on the horizon, threatening to upend everything Hope and Will have worked for. The rivalry with Forrester Creations intensifies, setting the stage for a confrontation that could redefine the balance of power in the fashion world. And at the heart of it all, Hope and Will must decide what they are willing to sacrifice to achieve their dreams, and whether those dreams are still worth pursuing if the cost becomes too great.